Okay, so, if you've been keeping an eye on like global economics at all, the UAE property market, it's kind of like this word keeps popping up, and I'm feeling like there's this sense of opportunity right now,
It is, it
and
is,
like strong returns. Like not just like fancy buildings, but like there's real potential there.
yeah,
So if you've been thinking about maybe taking a closer look at that world, this is definitely the place to be.
this is it. Yeah. Today we're going to really dive deep into this and how to make like strategic investments in the UAE property market. So think of this like a crash course,
Yeah.
We want to get you up to speed quickly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With what's going on.
So we've got like some really cool material to work with for this deep dive. The main thing we're looking at is this awesome guide. It's called like How to Invest in the UAE Property Market, something like that.
Yeah, how to invest in the UAE property market.
And we're also going to be tapping into the expertise of this guy, Dr. Puyan Gamari. He's a Swiss economist, knows a ton about global
Oh
finance.
yeah, he's the real deal. So yeah, he's going to be like, kind of like a voice in the back of our heads as we're going through this.
Yeah, what's really cool about the guide is it has like a super structured approach, like step by step.
Yeah.
And Dr. Gamari's insights like really help us connect the dots between what's happening in the UAE specifically, and then the bigger picture, like global finance.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get this thing going.
Let's do it.
The mission today is pretty straightforward. We want to give you the essential understanding. You need like the tools, the knowledge to kind of jump into the world of UAE property investment,
Mm-hmm.
but without like getting bogged down in like all the crazy details,
Exactly.
just the stuff that really matters.
Yeah, we want to give you like actionable insights,
Exactly.
things you can actually use.
Yeah. So step one, understanding the UAE property market landscape.
Yeah,
So right off the bat, the guide is saying like this is a dynamic market.
it is.
It's like there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
It's robust. It's not like a stagnant environment.
Not at all. No, the UAE property market is like, it's like a shining beacon right now. It's got this huge potential for high returns. And that's not just like, wishful thinking or anything. It's backed up by some serious strengths.
So what are those strengths like? What are we talking about here?
Well, stable economic growth is like the foundation,
Okay.
like that provides a really solid base. And then on top of that, you've got tax-free incomes, which means people have more money to invest,
Yeah, what more disposable income?
Exactly. And then its geographic location, you can't beat it. It's like this central hub connecting east and west.
Yeah, it's a crossroads.
It is a
Yeah,
crossroads.
and the guide specifically mentions Dr. Gamari's perspective on this. Like, what is he thinking?
Yeah, so Dr. Gamar, he's coming at this from like a global finance perspective, right? So with his background, he really stresses how important it is to understand these regional dynamics, but within the context of like the whole world.
Yeah.
He's really seeing the UAE market as like super attractive for international investors.
So what is it about it that like people outside the region are like, oh yeah, that's where I want to put my money? What are they seeing?
A couple of things. First off, it's got like a really well-regulated framework,
Mhm.
which gives international investors that sense of security and transparency that they're looking for.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
And then the introduction of real estate funds that really opens up the investment possibilities. It gives you more options.
Right.
And then maybe most importantly, there are all these incentives. The government is really putting its money where its mouth is, and they're offering incentives specifically to attract foreign capital.
So it's not just like, hey, come make money there. It's like we're going to create a secure environment for you to come do that.
Exactly. It's not just about profits.
Mhm.
They're trying to create this like secure and appealing environment for long-term investment and all these things together. That's what reduces the risk. And that's what makes people feel like, okay, yeah, this is worth looking into.
Okay, so step one, getting an overview of the market. Step two, we're talking about assessing government incentives and the regulatory framework. So this is like, you got to get this right before you even do anything else. This is like the groundwork.
It's like understanding the rules of the game before you start playing.
Right.
And the good news is the UAE government has been really active in making those rules attractive for investors.
Yeah. The guide mentions some like recent changes that they've made.
Yeah.
Like, what are some of the big reforms that they've implemented?
So one of the biggest ones is the introduction of these long-term residency visas, specifically the golden visas. You've probably heard of them.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And they're giving them to property owners who meet certain investment thresholds,
Okay.
which is a huge incentive for foreign investors to really plant some roots there, and make a long-term commitment.
Yeah. I mean, that's a huge deal. Like knowing that you're secure there.
Mhm.
I mean, I can see why that would be appealing.
Yeah.
So what other benefits are there for investors? Like, what else are they doing?
Well, there are no property taxes,
Okay, that's always nice.
which is a huge financial benefit, right? And then they've got competitive mortgage rates, to make financing easier, and then really solid legal protections for foreign ownership in certain areas.
Okay.
These are the freehold areas.
So it's like pretty investor-friendly on paper so far.
It seems to be, yeah.
But the guide also talks about like some really cool innovations, right?
Yeah.
Like in terms of digital assets and stuff like that in the property world.
Yes, this is really interesting. It's like the whole world of real estate is kind of being revolutionized by technology.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing in the UAE is this emergence of real estate-backed digital assets. Things like tokenized properties.
So what is a tokenized property? I don't really get that. Like, what is that in practice?
Okay, so imagine instead of buying like an entire property, you buy like a share of it, kind of like owning stock in a company, but for real estate.
Oh, okay.
So you invest in a digital token that represents a fraction of the ownership, and that makes it way more affordable.
Right. So you don't have to have millions of dollars to get in.
You don't. And it also makes buying and selling way easier and faster.
Wow.
It's all happening on these digital platforms.
So that could open up property investment to like a much wider group of people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Democratizing real estate, they call it.
So what is Dr. Gamari's take on all these regulations and the technology that's coming into play?
Well, he's a big fan. He really thinks investors should be paying attention to these new regulations, staying on top of the innovations, because things are changing so fast.
Yeah.
And he's a big proponent of due diligence. Do your homework, understand what's happening, stay informed. And he actually mentions this platform, Island,
Okay.
which is a great resource for staying up to date on the regulations. And they've got tools to help investors analyze the legal and practical aspects of all this stuff.
Okay. So Island, that's one to remember.
Yeah, write that one down. Okay, so step 1, getting an overview. Step 2, the rules of the game. And now step 3, this is huge, focusing on high return, high demand locations. Like, this is make or break right. You got to be in the right spot.
You do location, 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 right?
Yeah,
That's what they say.
exactly. So the guide is saying, like, carefully select the location. And there are reasons why certain areas are in high demand.
Right. You have to understand the demand drivers. What is making people want to be in a certain area?
So, like, what are some of the factors that create that high demand?
Okay. So think about it. Are you near a major business hub?
Yeah, makes sense.
Because that's where the professionals are going to want to live, Or is it a hot tourist destination because short-term rentals are going to be booming there? Or is there a big infrastructure project happening?
Okay.
Because that's going to drive up property values in the surrounding areas.
So are there any like specific places that the guide is like, yeah, these are hot spots?
Yeah, they mentioned Dubai Marina, Palm Jumeirah downtown Dubai. The usual suspects, I guess you could say, but for good reason.
Yeah.
These places are seeing rental returns of like over 6% annually.
Wow. 6%. That's pretty good.
And property values are just going up and up.
Okay, so good to know.
Yeah.
Now, there's this thing about sustainability, too, the guide is talking about, which I think is really interesting.
Yes. This is a big trend globally, but we're seeing it a lot in the UAE, these new developments that are really focused on being eco-friendly.
Yeah.
Green building practices, environmental standards, it's all becoming really important.
And Dr. Gamari has some thoughts on this, too.
Oh, he does. He's all about sustainability.
Yeah.
He thinks that these green developments, they're going to hold their value better in the long run.
Okay.
It makes sense, right? It aligns with what people want these days. And, he actually points out that investments in green certified properties are outperforming traditional developments.
Oh, wow.
Probably because there are just more and more people who care about the environment now.
Yeah, they're willing to pay for it.
They are. They are.
Okay, so step 4, leveraging technology and digital tools. I mean, like, it's 2025. We can't really talk about investing without talking about technology.
No, we can't. The world has changed.
Right. So the guide is saying you got to use the latest technology to make smart, data-driven decisions.
You do. You can't just go on gut feeling anymore. You need data. You need insights.
So what kind of technology are we talking about here specifically for property?
Real estate analytics platforms are huge.
Okay.
These are platforms that can predict market trends, forecast your potential return on investment, and even give you automated valuations of properties.
Wow.
So it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it.
In Island, they're doing stuff in this case too, right?
The guide mentions their digital marketing tools,
Okay.
which help investors understand the level of demand for properties across different channels, online and stuff. And they also help you optimize your portfolio. So you're targeting the right people with the right content, and then they've got these real-time analytics so you can track your return on investment, you know,
Wow.
as it's happening.
So you can make adjustments as you go.
You can be agile.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And then there's the whole blockchain cryptocurrency thing that the guide touches on, which is another like whole world, right?
It is, and it's moving so fast.
Hmm.
Blockchain is really changing the game when it comes to financial transactions, and it's all about decentralization, transparency, security.
Yeah.
And we're seeing this in real estate too with platforms like Gold, which is mentioned in the guide.
Okay.
So essentially, you can invest in property using cryptocurrency.
Right.
And these platforms are attracting some serious high net worth investors
Yeah.
who are looking to diversify. They want to get in on the action.
Yeah.
And it's really changing the landscape of who can invest and how they do it.
So the UAE is like on the cutting edge of this stuff.
Yeah, they're not afraid to embrace the new technology.
Okay, cool. So step 5, we're getting into the nitty-gritty now, securing financing and understanding your mortgage options. So this is like, unless you're walking in with a suitcase full of cash, this is important.
It is. This is where the rubber meets the road. You got to figure out how you're going to pay for this thing.
Yeah, so the guide says that foreign investors in the UAE, they have access to some pretty good financing options.
They do. Yeah, compared to a lot of other international markets, it's pretty favorable.
Okay, so what kind of mortgage terms are we talking about for non-residents?
Well, the guide says that banks in the UAE, they often offer really attractive interest rates for expats, especially if you're buying in those established areas.
Okay, so location matters for that too.
It does. It does.
Okay, and what about Dr. Gamari? He's got some thoughts on when to lock in financing.
He does. He's all about securing your financing early
Okay,
because he says interest rates can fluctuate a lot, depending on what's happening in the global economy.
yeah, of course. Yeah,
So locking in a good rate early, that can save you a lot of money in the long run.
that's smart.
It is. It is.
So what about the down payment? Like, what do you typically have to put down as a non-resident?
Well, the standard seems to be about 20%,
Okay,
but there might be some extra requirements, depending on your financial situation.
sure, of course.
But the main point is have your financing ducks in a row, before you start seriously looking at properties, especially in those competitive markets.
So get pre-approved, get everything sorted out. That's step 5. And then the final step, step 6, evaluating property management and ROI potential. So
Yep.
it's not just about buying the property, right? Like once you've got it, what do you do with it?
Exactly. You've got to manage it effectively if you want to actually realize those returns,
Yeah.
Not just a set it and forget it kind of investment.
So what are the main ways that people are managing properties in the UAE?
Well, there are a couple of options. You can hire a property management company. They'll take care of everything, finding tenants, screening them, collecting rent, dealing with maintenance, all that stuff. Or if you're more of a hands-on type and you've got the time, you can manage it yourself.
Right, yeah.
But even then, you've got to be on top of things, making sure you've got good tenants, keeping those occupancy rates high.
So it's not passive either way.
It's not. It's not.
And what does Dr. Gamari have to say about return on investment?
He's big on regularly reassessing your ROI. Things change, market conditions change.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep an eye on things like how much rent you can get, supply and demand in the market, any new development plans that might pop up nearby, all that can impact your property's value.
And once again, Aylin's coming in with the assist here.
They've got these awesome digital tools that are specifically designed to help people manage their real estate assets
Okay.
and really make the most of their investments.
So it's not just about the initial purchase. It's about the ongoing management and analysis and optimization of the investment.
Exactly.
And for those who want to dive even deeper into all this stuff, the guide mentioned some resources.
Yeah, check out Aylin's blog, Gold, and the Aylin Times. They've got a ton of information on there. And also dig into Dr. Gamari's insights. He's got a lot of great stuff to say about how innovation is shaping the real estate world.
Okay, so to recap, we've gone through like a pretty comprehensive look at investing in the UAE property market. We've got this step-by-step guide. We've got Dr. Gamari's expertise. And it all boils down to making smart decisions at every stage.
Yeah, informed decisions.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah, understand the market, use the tools, stay informed, and you're in good shape.
You are.
So as you've been listening to this, what are you most interested in? Like, what has really sparked your curiosity?
I think for me, it's how proactive the UAE is being. They're really going after foreign investment and they're not afraid of new technology. They're embracing it.
Yeah, that's a good point. So here's a final thought for you to chew on. With all these changes happening in the global real estate market and the UAE's ambitious plans, where do you think they're going to end up? Like, what's their long-term position going to be in the international property market? It's something to think about.
It is. It is.
It's a really interesting question.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, that's it for our deep dive today.
Thanks for listening.
See you next time.
See ya.